You updated us recently on what was happening in the demand story. Any change since then? What's happening?
No, things are steady, as we've been saying publicly for quite a while now, and we're reassured that our premium demand is holding across all of our sectors, and in particular the transatlantic, the North Transatlantic, and we're seeing premium hold and economy. The demand's there, but we've had to lower yields to fill the airplanes. But the fuel prices come down.
Is fuel compensated?
Yeah, it's a good balance.
So do you think fuel's sort of down here for a while?
Look, I wish I were an expert at predicting. We're hopeful, but all indications are it's not moving.
But if demand continues to soften, you're going to be able to use that fuel lever to maybe lower fares, stimulate a bit of demand. Is that going to be what the strategy looks like?
Well, I think we're on a very clear trajectory for our group. We were not in a good position in 2018. We lived through COVID, and we've restarted the same strategy that we had before COVID, and it's working. Like Air France in 2023 had its best year financially in the history of the company. 2024 we had the Olympics, which kind of was an anomalous year, and then this year looking good so far. We have the U.S. that wasn't predicted, but as I said, demand is still strong in premium, and we're a premium airline.
So, but the back of the plane is, so there's no update. The back of the plane is kind of as it was, i.e. there's some signs of weakness in that space.
Yeah, we're seeing 2-3% softness, and we have to stimulate with lower pricing.
In terms of the U.S. market, are you seeing? Is the weaker dollar, stronger euro, putting off maybe some U.S. travelers coming into Europe? Is that a factor that we need to think about through the summer?
Well, look, France is still very popular for Americans. We're seeing that. We're hearing that. Is the dollar making a difference in the attractiveness of France or Europe? Yet to be seen. The Netherlands, it's not the same size of the market of France. Pretty steady. But Paris it's amazing, and the volume is good, but the premium is strong. And if you just not only the airline sector, but if you look at the rest of the hospitality industry with hotels, with the gourmet Michelin-starred restaurants, they're doing well as well.
There is some evidence if you talk to the hotel groups, they say though that there is some evidence that Europeans are being more cautious in terms of traveling to North America. Any evidence of that?
As I said, premium is holding, which is most important for us. We are disproportionately premium, at least at our Air France subsidiary, and we're becoming more premium with the size of the cabins getting larger relative to the size of the airplane, so we're more exposed. And if you look at Air France-KLM versus our two main competitors in Europe, we're less exposed to the transatlantic. We've got 25% of our capacity is on the North Atlantic, where the other two are much, much higher.
How important will it be to your group that we see an EU-US trade deal?
That, of course, would be positive. How important it is, I think we need stability on knowing the impact of potential price changes to how they're going to affect airplanes, engines, and supply chain.
What are you hearing? The talk around here is that we're going to be seeing price rises, that ultimately we're already starting to see them. There's a 10% tariff kind of that's already on, that is starting to feed. Are you starting to kind of witness that? Is there evidence of price pressure coming through in the supply chain? It could be spare parts, it could be new engines, it could be, I'm not sure where it's going to be.
Spare parts, we're starting to hear, see, get notices that there are increases. Engines a bit early, and the bulk of our orders, the vast majority of our new airplane orders are with Airbus. So that's not a subject as of today.
Right, but and would you be concerned? Say the tariff level, at the moment it's 10%. There's a baseline 10%. We're coming up on some key dates. So, what's the difference between 10% and 20%? Obviously, there's a kind of mathematical figure there, but in terms of just the message it sends about the relationship, the interrelationship between European business and US business, how important would that be? Would you see a drop-off in business travel? Are you already seeing a drop-off in business travel? Is there an uncertainty that is beginning to manifest itself there?
Yeah. Well, when I said premium, I lump in business traffic.
Right, okay.
So it's all traffic in business class or La Première, premium economy. So I said that's holding. And what we see going forward, it's also holding. So any risk or I guess uncertainty around the impact of tariffs, where a lot of businesses are worried. Of course, we look at it every single day. As I said, the most important traffic for us is holding, and we're very happy about that, and we're quite relieved. Now, things could change, but as of today, premium is good.
Just give me a quick sense of where you are with M&A. Like the TAP post-election, we're all wondering what happens next. I was speaking to Luis a few minutes ago at IAG, get his take on it. What's your kind of view on what's happening there?
Well, number one for us is moving forward to a majority stake position in SAS.
Yep.
So we have 19% today, and we have the exclusive right to go to majority. So that's in the works. It's just a question of timing when we'll do that. And then on the Iberian Peninsula, the TAP sale with the constant, the uncertainty with the government, what the government is looking for, under what conditions is still unknown to us. And once that's made clear, we'll make a decision whether we can fit those requirements and whether it's of interest to us. In Spain with Air Europa, we've been in extensive negotiations with Air Europa. We're not anywhere near an agreement, so I have nothing to tell you today.
Okay.
But the Iberian Peninsula is an important market for us. But Latin America is key, and if we can find something that works on the Iberian Peninsula and it's positive, for sure. If it's too much risk or it's too expensive, then no, we'll do what it takes to maintain our position in another way.